Hey guys, it's the Bro Fam, and in this video we are going to talk about my labor and delivery. As you guys know, I had my daughter 2 weeks early. Today is her original due date. Today is September 24th, 2018. But she decided to come 2 weeks early. She was ready to get up out of there. First, I'm going to start off talking about my labor. I went into labor September 6th, 2018 at around 7 o'clock in the morning. She got an early start. It started when me and Eric had went somewhere early that morning, to get something fixed with his car and everything. And, as we're sitting there waiting for, his car being worked on and everything, I started feeling pain all of a sudden. And I'm thinking, like the way it felt very similar to, her moving her head around because she was head down already. Like majority of the pregnancy, she was head down and laying on her side. So there would be times where she'll be, twisting and turning her head and everything. And, it will kind of be painful because her head will be, touching and hitting my bladder and my cervix and everything. So I hated when she did that because it was just so painful. So I'm thinking that's what it is. But I started noticing that the pain kept consistently coming like every few minutes. So after a while, I'm just like, okay, this is no longer her turning her head. I think I'm actually in labor because I'm literally having constant contractions and everything. So I'm just like, okay, everybody calm down, take a deep breath and everything or whatever. We're going to see how this plays out. So as the morning goes on and stuff, I'm still, having contractions every few minutes and everything. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is false labor, if this is real or whatever, but I'm just going to, sit it out just for a little while just to see how things go. So Eric ends up going to work after he gets his car fixed. I head back to my friend's house. And as I'm sitting at my friend's house, of course, the contractions are still coming every few minutes and everything. And I'm just sitting there for hours, just anxiously waiting and seeing how everything will play out. And I'm just like, oh gosh, I need to call my clinic and my doctor and see what can I do for the next step. Because I was like, I think I'm like really in labor right now. So I called the clinic. A nurse came to the phone and she asked me how far apart were my contractions. And I was telling her, from what I'm calculating, they're 7 to 8 minutes apart so far. And she was like, okay, well, at this point, you're still okay. She was like, just try to walk around a bit because, walking around kind of helps you, have an easier delivery and everything. She was like, go shopping, do something to keep yourself busy and walking around and everything. And she said once the contractions start getting closer together and start becoming 3 to 4 minutes apart, that's when we will want you to come into the hospital. But right now you're only 7 to 8 minutes, so it's not really a big deal. She's not going to fall out just at this moment. So I was like, okay, thank you so much for that. So I just waited and waited. I tried napping and everything. Guys, it was not working. Like, I was literally being woken up out of my nap every time I had a contraction, basically. Like, I was so freaking tired from not getting that much sleep from the night before. And yeah, it just was not working out. I would just like fall asleep, and then next thing you know, a contraction was like waking me up out of my sleep. I was like, this is just not gonna work. I was like, I'm just gonna have to sit here and be tired and suffer. So I was just going by. My friend finally gets home because she was out somewhere. And I was telling her, I was like, you won't believe it, but I'm actually in labor right now. Like, I'm in the early stages of labor right now. I'm having contractions every 7 to 8 minutes. And she's like, wow, are you freaking serious? I was like, yeah, like, this is really happening right now. And they told me, don't come to the hospital yet. Wait until they get to 3 to 4 minutes apart and everything, and then come in. And she's like, wow, so she helps me a little bit. We go walking and everything, do a little walking and stuff. And, we were just sitting there talking about the whole thing, letting time pass by and everything. She made sure I was okay. You know, made sure I was drinking water, made sure the pain wasn't too bad, you know, just constantly checking with me to make sure everything was okay. And I was like, yeah, girl, it's just a tad bit of pain. At first, it was tolerable. Like, the pain was tolerable. I'm just like, this feels like just, you know, typical, you know, menstrual cramps that I usually have, you know. So it wasn't that bad at first. But oh my gosh, once the day started getting, like, once it started getting later on that day, you know, I'm up here texting and blowing up his phone saying, hey, you know, like, I really think you need to come home, and everything. Like, no offense, but I feel like work needs to just be put off to the side because, like, I'm really in labor and this is, like, really important and everything. And, you know, I just want you to be here with me and stuff. So, but, you know, he still continued to be at work and stuff because, you know, by the time I had text him, it was already almost time for him to get off. He probably had like
Yeah,
an
I had
hour.
an hour left.
Yeah,
And
he had like about an hour left.
you
So
wasn't
was
supposed
like,
to go into labor till the 24th. It was like what day was the 9th?
no, it was the 6th.
The 6th.
Yeah, the 6th. I had went into labor, so that was pretty early. It was like a little bit over 2 weeks early. So he had like an hour left and everything, and you know, I'm just constantly blowing up his phone, but you know, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna be patient because he only has like an hour left and everything. And I'm telling him, please, when you go home, please make sure you pack the hospital bag, because guys, we were not prepared at all. Like, we didn't even pack a hospital bag at all. So
No,
I was like,
I had the hospital bag prepared. It was just at home.
you probably had to add more to it.
I think so. I think
because we did have to probably add like diapers and stuff too, because we didn't get diapers and stuff for her until like a later, like diapers and clothes for her until like a later date, like after the baby shower and everything. So we already kind of had something going. We just had to add, you know, more items to the bag and everything. And I was just like, just please make sure you're prepared and everything and stuff. You know, baby girl needs her hospital bags. We need stuff, you know, and everything. So he finally went home from work after an hour and, you know, went home and took a shower and everything and stuff, made sure we had everything for the hospital or whatever. And then eventually he comes to my friend's house with me and we spend the night over there. And, you know, we're just talking about it. I'm constantly in pain. Like, guys, literally, every contraction, I'm literally like standing up. Like, I had to stand up. Like, I could not sit down because I felt like for some reason it felt a little bit better when I stood up. And I'm just standing over there bent over, just, you know, trying to breathe in and out deeply and everything because the pain was starting to get to a 10, you know. So I was just like, oh my gosh, like just every contraction, I'm just standing up, just breathing, bending over and everything and stuff in pain. So eventually it starts getting later on that night and he ends up falling asleep. Of course, I'm still up. I haven't been asleep all freaking day because, like I said, my contractions won't let me. So when I started noticing that the pain was getting worse, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I tried everything in my power. Guys, I took Tylenol, extra strength. That did not work at all. I also tried taking like submerging myself in like a hot bath, and it helped temporarily, you know, a little bit to relieve some of the pain. But once I got out and I dried off and everything and stuff, it went right back to being just very, very painful. And everything. So I was like, oh my gosh, nothing is working. Like, this pain is getting worse. I'm like, okay, well, now let me check to see how, you know, close the contractions are. And it started getting weird. It started getting to a point that some were 7 to 8 minutes apart, some were 5 minutes, some were 3 to 4 minutes. And I'm like, well, that's kind of worrying me that, you know, some of them are actually hitting 3 and 4 minutes on a dot. So I was like, yeah, I think I just need to go ahead on it and go because it seems like it's getting pretty close from here. So I wake Eric up. I'm like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know you're tired and everything. You had a long day at work, but please take me to the hospital. We have to go because these pains are getting worse and some of the contractions are literally starting to become 3 to 4 minutes apart. Not all of them, but it's still the fact that some of them are, you know, that close together. So I'm like, yeah, she's coming. So we get up, we head to the hospital. At that time, it was probably like 11, 12 o'clock a night, something like that, almost midnight. Yeah. And so we get there to the hospital. We go to the ER part. From the ER part, they rush me up to the 3rd floor to the labor and delivery department. And I was kind of upset when we got there because they were delivering so many babies that night, and everything, that they were kind of like packed. So like I had to literally sit in this freaking waiting room, and I sat in there for like, I guess you could say like a good hour or so before they pulled me into like another room. And I was just like upset because I'm sitting here, I'm in pain. And then it's funny because it was another girl sitting in the same room as us, and she was in labor too, and she was over there having pains. And I guess that was her sister or something was trying to calm her down. And I'm over here grabbing onto him like this, like squeezing his arm, his hand. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this pain is freaking getting to me. And I'm just like, you know what, I give up. I need a freaking epidural now. Like, I am in pain. I thought I can do natural, but no, freak that. This is getting bad, you know. So I had to sit there and wait that out. And then they finally pulled me into this room, and it's not even the freaking actual labor and delivery room. Like, it's like some other room where they had hooked me up to some monitors to monitor her heartbeat and everything, make sure everything is fine. They also were asking me questions and everything, checking my cervix to see how far along I was, how much dilation had occurred. And guys, I was 5 centimeters dilated. You have to be 10 centimeters to be completely dilated, and I was literally halfway there already. I was like, wow, I'm at 5 centimeters. Like like, wow, no wonder why this is getting painful. I'm halfway there, you know. And I lost my mucus plug and everything. For those of you that don't know what a mucus plug is, a mucus plug is like some little gooey plug that closes off your cervix and everything. The mucus plug is like a little gooey plug and everything, and it covers the opening of your cervix to keep everything intact. And once you like, well, people lose it at different times, so it depends on who you are, but basically, you know, you lose it and your cervix will start opening up and everything. So I lost my mucus plug at that moment, and I was like, what the heck, like that was kind of late, but but I lost my mucus plug and everything while sitting there, and they were monitoring her heartbeat and everything, checking my cervix, you know, making sure everything was okay. And I'm like, guys, I'm having contractions, like come on, you know. So hours go by, and they finally pulled me into the delivery room. I'm like, thank the Lord. Like, and then I got so excited because my mom showed up and everything. So I was kind of glad she was there. His family members, it was like early in the morning. So some of them were like probably already heading to work or just now getting off of work, you know, from working the night shift and everything, or probably sleep, or, you know, just all over the place. Like I said, this was like early in the morning by the time I had finally gotten to the delivery room. And so from there, they put the IV in. They gave me some antibiotics, as well as they had an anesthesiologist come in and set up my epidural and everything, because I was begging them for it because I could not take the pain anymore. And to be honest with you, my experience with the epidural, like, y'all, I was so scared to get an epidural. That's why I kept saying, no, screw that, I want a natural birth. Because I literally saw videos of a woman getting an epidural, and it looked so painful, as well as, you know, other people that went through it made it seem like it was painful. So I was just like, I'm so scared for them to poke me in my spine with that freaking needle. Like, it just looks like it freaking hurts. So I was like, I'm not doing that. But at that moment, I was in so much pain that I didn't even care anymore. When you start becoming, when you start going into so much pain, after a while, you're just like, freak it. I don't even care. I need something that's going to help relieve this. So the anesthesiologist comes in, he hooks that up, and guys, literally, I did not even feel anything. The only thing I felt was the burning sensation from the medication going into my back. Other than that, he did a wonderful job. Like, I literally didn't even feel anything. And once the epidural started kicking in, it was a relief. Like, it's weird because I could still feel the contractions. Like, I could feel my stomach just tightening like that every few minutes. That's how I knew a contraction was happening. But I was so grateful because I couldn't feel any pain no more. All I could feel was my stomach tightening like that. You know, so I couldn't feel anything. They were coming in there trying to remove my position around and everything, and it was hilarious because I could not feel my legs at all, guys. Like, they had to literally help me lift up my legs because the epidural just like knocked the feeling out my legs and everything. So And that was it for as far as the labor part. Contraction started getting a little bit closer, and everything. And then finally, they tell me that they come back in and they check my cervix, and I'm basically 10 centimeters, and they're like, well, it's time to push. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so freaking scared. Like, it is freaking time to push. So now we're getting into the delivery part. So I guess I'm going to explain from my perspective, just pushing and everything. All I can say about the delivery part, it was pretty easy. The only thing that was sort of difficult was the breathing during the pushing part. Like, they wanted me to, they said push like you're pooping. So, I was pushing and I couldn't breathe while I was pushing and everything. So, because, I was trying my hardest, so, and they'll be like, okay, now, take 10 seconds to breathe, and they'll count to 10, and they'll be like, now you got to push again. And they was like, you got to consistently keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And I'm just like, oh, Lord Jesus. I was like, woo, I need some air. This is becoming difficult to kind of push here and everything. And they was like, we finally see her head and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, at this point, I'm clueless because I can't see nothing or I can't feel anything. So when they tell me they finally see her head, I'm like, oh my gosh, so. And how did you feel when you first saw the head coming out?
It was just beautiful. I seen her hair and I was like, oh, she ain't gonna have no problem getting out of there. Her hair was so slick.
I know they showed it. They said that too. They were like, "Oh, she has a head full of hair." I was like, "Wow, really?"
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even have that much heartburn during pregnancy, because the myth is, guys, when you're pregnant, and if you're pregnant and you have a lot of heartburn, they said that means that your child is going to come out with a lot of hair and everything. And I literally only had heartburn probably like once or twice out of the whole pregnancy. So I was just shocked that she had a full head of hair. I was just like, oh, well, I guess my baby is going to be bald headed then, because I only had heartburn like twice out of this whole pregnancy and stuff. But nope, she had a head full of hair and everything. And I was like, well, I mean, that kind of doesn't surprise me either, because I was born with a full head of hair and everything. So, and so after that, I just kept pushing, and they're like, her head is coming out even more. Just keep pushing and everything. And finally, her head popped out. And they was like, once her head pops out, we got it from here. All they do is just pull them out from there. They grab onto their head and they're just, just snatch on out of there and everything. And it was just amazing, guys. When I saw her come out, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, she's finally here. I couldn't believe it. And then just them just laying her on my chest, I cried, guys. Like, I literally cried. And my mom came over there and she started crying right along with me. And then he started crying. Like, babe, how did
I was like, I've been crying. I mean, I wasn't crying like them, but
Yeah.
my eyes were watering.
Like, how did you feel when she fully came out of there? Like,
I was just looking at her. She was the one crying the most out of everybody. That's the first person I noticed was crying. I seen baby girl crying when she came out of there. She was like,
I know, it
and
looked just like that. That is exactly how her face looked.
So I looked at her crying, and I started laughing. And then I looked at your mother crying, and I was still laughing. Then I turned around and seen you crying too, and I just said,
but start crying. Yeah, and then he started snapping pictures and everything. So I'm like, babe, get pictures, please make sure you get pictures when she comes out, be prepared and everything. So he snapped, he got some good pictures of her when she first came out and everything. Like I said, my mom is over there and she's just, hugging me, and we're just bawling, crying and everything.
Even some of the nurses were crying too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So, yeah, it was like a beautiful experience. And guys, she literally came at exactly 9 o'clock that morning of September 7th, 2018. And I was just so excited. I was like, wow. They was like, you have a healthy baby girl. And she was born 6 pounds, 4 ounces. So she was pretty small. She was tiny. She was almost like me. I was actually born 6 pounds, 7 ounces. So she was like right there neck and neck with me. So I was like, I just want to hold her. I love her so much, you know. And then eventually they let him hold her, but they was like, first, you know, you have to get skin to skin with her for at least an hour with mom, and then, you know, he got to hold her, and it was just, everything was just a beautiful sight, guys. Like, I was just so relieved. And yes, I did rip, and they had to stitch me back up and everything. But like I said, I couldn't feel anything. When I say I didn't feel anything, the whole delivery, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel no rip. I didn't even know I ripped, to be honest, until they were saying something about stitches. I was like, I ripped, and they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, I didn't even feel that. That's crazy and stuff. But I'm kind of glad I didn't feel any of that, because that sounds very painful. So the epidural worked miracles. So when I have another child, I definitely will be doing epidural again, because I don't want to experience any of that pain. I just can't take it. So, but other than that, guys, like, everything was just such a beautiful sight, you know. And I was just excited that she was here and everything. So, and I was just kind of relieved, because I was like, okay, now I could finally get comfortable now and everything. She can be comfortable, because she was really running out of room in there. Seriously, like, I couldn't take it anymore, guys. It was just, my stomach was just tight. I just couldn't anymore. And her, every little movement of hers was starting to hurt, because it was getting so tight in there. So I was just glad she came. So, you have anything else you want to say, babe, about it? He was just excited. I'm so proud of him too, overall, or whatever, because most men always talking about how they're not going to look, and ew, that's disgusting, and I'm going to pass out and everything like that. But he actually did a good job. Like, he stood there and he looked the whole time, and he wasn't disgusted or, you know, anything of that nature. Everything was just a beautiful sight to him. So I really appreciate him for that. You know, that's lovely. So that was our labor and delivery story. Baby girl is here. She is healthy. She is growing so freaking fast. And our next video that we're going to upload is going to be about her first month of life and how she's doing. And we're going to give you guys all the inside detail about, you know, how is she progressing, some of the funny moments that she has had so far and everything, how smart she is, and just in this first month of life. So that is going to be our next video. So you guys need to stay tuned. Make sure you guys like this video, share, please comment below, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We love you guys. Bro fam out. Bye.